The third International Conference on Financing for Development is set to kick off on July 13th in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. We know the conference will result in an official outcome document, which has already been negotiated and drafted in multiple rounds and is meant to support the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. This will also be an opportunity to look back on and assess progress since the Monterey Consensus and the Doha Declaration, the two previous incarnations of this Financing for Development conference. So apart from those official outcomes, what is new or important about this particular conference at this particular time? Here are a few things to keep in mind. First, it's a high visibility event, and therefore a great place to launch new initiatives or establish new commitments or new partnerships. Are we likely to see the US commit to a new, clear plan to scale up official donor assistance to 0.7% of GDP? As called for in the Monterey Consensus? Probably not, but we might see new partnerships around sector-specific causes or clarity around some of the things that we've heard about, like the Global Financing Facility for maternal and child health. Second, Addis is the first in a string of high-level events in 2015, and an opportunity to kick off the Sustainable Development Goals with either a lot of enthusiasm and energy, or to derail the process with infighting and political compromise and confusion. We could see national leaders or philanthropists attach themselves to individual goals as champions for those issues, or we could hear more frustration about a list of goals that's too long, too encompassing, and too long-term to be of any practical use. Finally, and probably most optimistically, the Addis Conference offers an opportunity to build a common platform for development assistance. That's one of those phrases that can easily mean nothing, but the fact is that a lot of people are going to be coming together to talk about the future of development assistance and having strategic conversations, hopefully, about what that means. So one thing we might hope is that individual spending decisions will be made with a bit more awareness of how they fit into the broader world of development finance and what are some of the interesting and new ideas about how that finance can be structured. There are a few areas in terms of the way that the conversation proceeds that are worth paying attention to. One of them is the way that we talk about the private sector at this conference. There's so much enthusiasm about developing economies and the opportunity for foreign investment in those economies to drive their own growth. But some worry the intense focus on crowding in the private sector is actually crowding out some difficult conversations about what official donor assistance really needs to do and how much of it is needed in the future. Domestic resource mobilization is a phrase that will be drilled into our heads during this conference if it hasn't been already. The largely untapped potential for tax revenues to finance development goals in developing countries will be a big part of the post-2015 plan. But will developing countries adopt firm commitments on what is largely a domestic issue? Raising taxes? Is Addis, an international conference, the appropriate place for them to do that? We'll have to wait and see. One of the big remaining questions for Addis is who will actually show up? Will it be finance ministers or heads of state? Will President Obama make the trip? One thing that's certain is that DevX will be on the ground, bringing you live coverage from the conference as it unfolds. Let us know why you think the Financing for Development Conference matters or doesn't matter, and what you hope to see from Addis. And as always, stay tuned for more.